tell us about the Springboks. Why did they win the 2007 World Cup? Because I totally agree with you.
So here's what's interesting. To answer this question, can we kind of first break down something kind of weird about human behavior?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, the floor is yours.
Awesome. So here's what's really interesting. When you think about the greatest punishments you can give a person in our society besides capital punishment, right? It's either exile or solitary confinement, right, in prison. We're saying that you are so bad that you are not allowed around other human beings. But for human beings, belonging or being around each other is critical because that's how we survived. We're like clearly not the strongest, right? There are so many animals that are way stronger than us. We're not the fastest, but what we are is better at working together to survive than any other species.
Absolutely.
And you can see that based on how much of the planet we've covered, right? And how many challenges we faced, from pandemics to flooding to whatever it is, right? And here's what's really interesting. When you look at the predictors of, let's say, living a long time or business success or any of these things, it tends not to be what people think they are. Living a long time, the greatest predictors are, number 2, having close friends and family. And number 1 is something called social integration. It's how many people you come in contact with, or are you part of a community? Now, you can actually track company stock value, employee sick days, and company profitability to the level of trust at a company.
Okay.
That level of belonging. And if you actually look at the greatest predictor of team success, it's something called psychological safety. It's, can I express an idea that goes against the group's view and not be kicked out of the group or punished for it? Because then you can actually have an exchange of ideas that improve the situation. And so you can see that across anything that really matters, our ability to have an impact relies on this ability to belong. And that's where our story of the Springboks begin, because if you look right before Smit was made captain, there was this, I can't even pronounce it properly because I don't speak Afrikaans, but there was this...
Kamstaldraad.
Yes, thank you very, very much. When I had to do the audiobook, I probably went through it like 4 or 5 times. There was this crazy incident where they had like this training camp. First of all, they had a miserable season. They went to this camp where they like had to get naked and like run through the mud and hunt rabbits and kill them, like all this kind of weird stuff. And that, what's that term that you just said?
Kamstaldraad. Yeah.
Yeah, it stands for like barbed wire or something like that. It's just like, it was supposed to be a bonding experience.
Yeah.
And these, in theory, you put a group of people together in a tough situation, they actually do bond and they get stronger together and feel more camaraderie. But that really didn't end up working well. It mostly just embarrassed the team further, and they realized that they needed new leadership. And when White came in as the coach, what he was, from what I understand, really masterful at was selecting his additional coaches to kind of fill the skill sets that he may or may not have. And one of the things that they really focused on developing was to prevent subcamps from developing within the team. So everybody, regardless of, race or which region they were from, were actually all really one team. And the other thing that he did was he had 2 basic principles. There will not be a fitter team on the pitch, right? Because that's in their control, is their training and their the way they worked. And then the other thing was he focused on giving safety of position. So he picked his core team and he was insanely loyal to them. I mean, just ridiculous. Even when they had huge losing streaks, he would refuse to replace his core team. Yeah. And you can actually see that because if you look at the number of South African players that have played 100 games or more, there's almost all of them are from that core team.
5 out of 6, yeah.
Which is incredible. And when we demonstrate that kind of loyalty to people and we make sure that they feel that safe, then it gives them the opportunity to actually perform their best. Because then you're not worried about what's going to happen in the next game. You're focused on improving your skill set and you're in it for the long game. And it fosters a sense of loyalty that people are willing to go way further for you than for anything else for that matter. And so he was able to really create this core team that worked very well together and then train them and prepare them for the challenges that would take about 4 years till the next.